I built a $30 million portfolio of businesses working just 25 to 30 hours a week. I spend 60 to 70 days a year traveling, golf, I spend time with my family, I don't miss any of the important things. And right now, our business is growing faster than ever. We expect to hit 40 million this year. In this video, I wanna break down for you the most important productivity systems and principles that I have followed that allow me to scale my business without sacrificing those things that are most important to me. The first thing we have to talk about is flow. I saw a study years ago by McKinsey, the consulting firm, that found executives who regularly access flow states had a 500% increase in productivity. That means what you used to get done in 5 days, you get done in 1. That's wild. There's also been decades of research into what are the flow triggers. These are the things that you do before you get into flow. Flow is something that you can simply engineer directly into your schedule and it happens. I wanna give you really quick and simple implementations that give you more flow in your schedule and in your life. All right, number one is you gotta keep a low cognitive load. What that means is before you start your very important work, don't check email, don't check your phone, don't get on social media. When you start to consume all this information, it's taxing and draining your cognitive load so that when you sit down to do your important work, you are drained and you can't get into flow to do that important work. Number two is struggle. Flow happens in phases. There's the struggle phase, then the release phase, and then flow, and then recovery. Struggle is the point we've all experienced before when you sit down to do your important work and you struggle to get started. In that struggle, we start to crave a dopamine hit. And so that's when you say, okay, well, let me just check my email quick. And you get a little dollop of dopamine, a nice little hit. But what you're doing when you're clearing your email is you're draining your cognitive load. You're making the struggle phase even harder. When you stop doing that, you get massive increases in performance. Number three is your flow environment. You want to declutter. You want to remove the possibility of any interruptions or any distractions. If you do that, what happens is you will release and you will drop into flow where you feel your best and perform your best and will blow yourself away at how much work you can get done. Number four is create flow blocks with clear goals. Clear goals are not your typical kind of goal. It's like a checklist of a whole bunch of little things to knock off. Close your door, put on your headphones, go to the bathrooms, and then I create my intention for the block. What's the thing I'm working on? Why am I working on it? Why does it matter? And then it says, open this document. Okay, now title it. Now drop your notes in. Now create an outline. I plan ahead of time this sequence of all the little things I need to do for that bigger, really important project. And that sequencing of these clear goals in this little checklist done ahead of time allows you to speed through the struggle phase and drop right into doing the hard work by giving you all these little micro wins along the way. Number five, recovery. If you think about a professional athlete like a LeBron James, he doesn't play the entire game because you get better performance out of him if he recovers. And it's the same way for you and me. We can perform at a higher level if we give our brain recovery when it needs recovery. Problem is that most people take breaks in their work, and on their break, they scroll social media, they check their email, they make a phone call, they watch a video. These are all things that further drain your cognitive load. Your breaks should be boring. When I first started implementing recovery, what I found was that 30-minute break to go for a walk improved my performance so much after the break that I got way more done in a day and it was way more enjoyable. You have to bake recovery into your day if you want to get more done and you want to perform at your best. Everything we talked about can be engineered into your schedule, and when you follow the triggers, you get more flow, and when you get more flow, you get more output without more time. Next up, this is how you align all of your actions towards your 10-year dream vision. This is what I call strategic planning and goal stacking. So when you think about building something big, anything that you build is gonna get built over time. So if I say, oh, you wanna build a $10 million company, you wanna create freedom in this lifestyle, when does that actually happen? And the answer is not like next Tuesday or January 24th, 2027. The reality is the result you're aiming for, when is it actually happening, is right now, and right now, and right now, and right now. It's the sum of all of these little right nows added together and compounded over time to get you these amazing results in your life. This is a simple framework for you to ensure that you're aligning your daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly actions and plan with the future you're trying to fulfill. So there's two main things that we want to understand. The first is the goal stack and the second is the rhythms. First, let's talk about the goal stack. Your goal stack looks like this. So it's literally a document I call my strategic plan. At the top of the document has my MTP. That's my massively transformative purpose. the purpose of your life. Then next up, if we got the 10-year goals, you don't know how you're gonna make them happen. They seem out of reach because you have no idea who you are, you have no idea what you're capable of, and you have no idea what you can accomplish on a 10-year time horizon. Next up, you've got the 3 to 5 year goals. 3 to 5 year goals should be, where would I need to be in 3 to 5 years so that I have the foundation to get to the 10-year goal? Next up, you have your 1 to 2 year goals. What needs to happen by the end of this year so that I can accomplish year 2? Then we get more granular. This year is broken into 4 quarters. The current quarter I'm in, I break down monthly. So the way that this whole thing shakes out, once I've built my whole strategic plan, I have from the bottom up, January, what I need to accomplish, February, March to fulfill the quarterly goal. Then I've got my quarter 2 goals, which I'll break down monthly, and then my quarter 3 goals broken down monthly, and then my quarter 4 is broken down monthly to accomplish the 1 year goals. If we accomplish that, then we've got the 3 to 5s, and then we've got the 10, and then we've got your massively transformative purpose at the top. So now let's talk about the rhythms of the strategic plan. The first is what we call the rule of 1. At any quarter, there should be one primary focus. As you build your business from here to where you're going, you do it with one thing at a time. Next up is the daily rhythm. The daily rhythm is follow your flow-friendly schedule. And in every flow block, when you connect to your intention for why you're doing that work you're doing, you take 3 minutes to say, I'm doing this to fulfill this month's goal, this quarter's goal, for this year, for this 2 to 3 year, for this 5 year, for this 10 year. Then there's a quarterly rhythm. Every quarter, you plan the next quarter, you break it down into months to make sure that you're on track. Last up is the annual rhythm. At the end of the year, we take maybe 3 hours or half a day to revamp the whole strategic plan and get it in line for the next year. And now you can have a lot more certainty that the moment to moment, day to day actions you're taking are in alignment with the big goal you're trying to get to. Now, this is how you build a business that works without you in it. This is literally what I've done at 2 companies so far. So Foothills Painting, I started in 2010. By 2014, I was not running day-to-day operations. I had Ben take over day-to-day operations, and he has built that company to be a $10 million per year business. And I've done less than 5 hours a week since 2014 on that business. So there are 3 phases to building the business. Phase 1 is where you're building the foundation. The foundation of the business is all the core functions. We need to generate leads, turn those leads into sales, deliver on those promises, and then manage the numbers and all the financials and logistics of that business. I gotta be good at marketing, good at sales, good at delivery, and I need to systemize those things so I can train them. And that's one of the hardest parts of a business, because not only are you the one doing everything in the business, but you also have to document everything in the business. This is why a lot of people get stuck in that part of business. But if you can get it done, then you get to move into phase 2, which is building your team. So that's when you start to hire, train, and oversee people who do the core functions of the business. This is how I help a lot of painting contractors remove themselves from the day-to-day so that they can travel, they can take time off, they can work part-time. Phase 3 is where you put leadership in place. This is when you're fully handing off ownership and accountability for the business. Those are the 3 phases to go through to go from being a business operator to a business owner, with other people running and growing the business with you not being there. And so rather than filling up your entire schedule at the beginning when you're the one doing everything, you need to have time dedicated for building the systems. So this is not a fast thing, because great things take time, and you need to know where you're going next, because the real game is creating freedom and building wealth. And to do that, you've got to do it in the right order and take the right steps to make it happen. If you want explosive, productive growth, attack one problem at a time. Years ago, I read a book called The One Thing. It was written by Gary Keller. He's the founder of Keller Williams Realty, pretty successful real estate company, giant. And he spent the entire book talking about how there is one thing you should focus on in your business. There may be hundreds of things that you could do, but there's only one thing that is the most valuable thing to choose to do next. There's one biggest constraint in your business, solve it, and then find the next constraint. So let me give you one really simple framework that can help you identify the most important next thing that you should focus on. So what are the problems I could solve in my business right now? List them out. Take those and write them up on a blank piece of paper in a circle. So you're gonna go one by one. So go to problem number 1 and say, if I solve problem number 1, does it make problem number 2 easier to solve, or does problem number 2 make problem 1 easier to solve? And then draw an arrow. If 1 makes 2 easier to solve, draw an arrow to number 2. And then you say, does number 1 make number 3 easier to solve, or does 3 make number 1 easier to solve? And then draw an arrow. Once you go go around the circle with number 1, then you do problem number 2. Does problem number 2 make number 3 easier to solve, or 3 makes 2 easier to solve? And you draw the arrow. Once you're done drawing the arrows, there's going to be one of those problems you listed that has the most arrows pointing away from it. That is the thing that you solve first, because when you solve that thing, it makes more of the other problems easier to solve. And then you put that next thing into your strategic plan we talked about earlier, and then allocate all your resources towards solving that one thing. So now you've got a process for what to focus on. Now you need a system for what do I do with all the things I'm not focusing on. So this absolutely killed me for many, many years. I was anything but focused. Focus is the problem for a lot of people, and it was certainly the problem for me. I was in multiple businesses. I was doing way too many projects. I was not seeing projects to completion because things were taking longer than I wanted them to. I would have made millions more dollars if I could have just stayed focused. But I, like many entrepreneurs, get very excited about ideas. I see lots of opportunities. I get pitched ideas left and right. And the bigger I got, the more resources I had, the more team I had, the more ideas I could pursue. And I got myself in a state of like, we were just overcommitted, trying to do too many things, going in too many directions. And then I removed myself from a business. Then it took time to delegate another business. And then it took time to go back and fix and fine tune all the systems because we didn't do them right the first time because we were trying to do too many things. And I'm happy to say that I'm finally at a point now where I can be focused. And here's how I do it. So I have something called my not doing now list. It's just my list of things I'm not doing now. And where that list exists is in my strategic plan next quarter. So as I go through my day, I see a YouTube video, or I see an ad, or someone texts me an opportunity, or someone pitches me something. And all of these things that I'm interested in, I write them down in my notes app. And then once a week, I just clear my notes app, and all of these ideas that I used to want to chase, I put them into my not doing now list for next quarter. Because all of these new ideas, I know I'm not doing them now because I know what I'm focused on this quarter. So when I'm planning next quarter, I'm gonna identify what's that one thing that I need to do next quarter. Anything that's not my next one thing is gonna move to the quarter 4 not doing now list. If I've got a whole bunch of marketing ideas on my not doing now list, when marketing becomes the most important thing, I have so many resources and ideas just standing there ready to execute on. So it's like I'm building up all of this inventory of ideas to execute on when it becomes the next thing. The other thing that happens is good ideas stick around. So sometimes I have ideas, and when I read them 2 months later, I'm like, that's a horrible idea, and I delete it. There's some ideas though that just don't go away, and those are the ones that I will execute on. So it's a good filter. Am I just excited about this, or is this something that's actually standing the test of time? It just allows me to stay focused because I'm not saying no to the opportunity. I'm just saying I'm not doing it this month or next month. And if it never becomes the next most important thing, you'll never do it, which often happens for me too, is there's just ideas I've had on that list for many, many years, and I may never ever do them. Next, to create freedom, you trade your way there. So I told you at the beginning of the video, everything I've built working about 25 to 30 hours a week. Sometimes it's been less than that because I set limits on my time. I know how much I want to work because I know what I want to do when I'm not working. I want to spend time with my family. I want to travel. I want to golf. I want to take care of my health. I want to have a social life. I have other things, and so I put constraints on my time. And what often happens is I will get to a point where I feel like I need more time to get things done. Things are piling up because the business is growing, so more things are being dumped on my plate. And this happens every 1 to 3 months. And every time I do that, I implement what I call a trade. So there's 2 people who influenced me a lot on this. And the biggest influence was Tim Ferriss in the book, The 4-Hour Workweek, where he talked about the 80-20 principle and how he applied that, and I learned from that, and I started applying it. The other person who has made an impact on this is Dan Martell in his book, Buy Back Your Time, and he talks about it like the buyback loop. So here's my take, and I call it the trade principle. There are 4 trades that you can do that improve the quality of your life, or they improve your performance, or both. The first trade is value. You trade less valuable things in your calendar for more valuable things in your calendar. Over time, you're gonna give away more valuable stuff because everything you're doing is more valuable. A couple years ago, I had to ask my partners, Ben and Hunter, to start taking over some pretty high-level direct reports in my organization. I said, hey, I can't manage all these people anymore. Can you? They said, yes, I can. It cleared my schedule so I could work on the next thing the business needed. The second trade is an alignment trade. So you trade out things that are less aligned and trade in things that are more aligned. So for example, if you have certain customers that you really don't like to work with and you have other customers you really like to work with, change your business so you work with less of the bad customers and more of the good customers. The third trade is a joy trade. So this is trading out things you don't like to do and trading in things you do like to do. One of these examples is there used to be a series of webinars I was running, and I was really bored of running it because I just kept delivering the same material again and again. So I said, you know what? I'm canceling all of those webinars, and instead I'm gonna send it out as an automated training. I'm gonna record it once, send it out, and then I'll have a webinar where I can answer questions about it because I actually do like doing that. So it was trading out a repetitive webinar for a webinar I really enjoy. The fourth trade that you can make is less effective action for more effective action. So you can look at your calendar and say, what are the things that I do that make a big difference? And what are the things I do that make less of a difference? An example for me was when I changed my meeting structure. I realized that I could actually get way more done in that 1 hour if I did 15 minutes to prepare the meeting and then a 30-minute meeting. Because in 15 minutes of prep, I can be way more intentional about the meeting agenda and make it more valuable at the same time. So if you fundamentally put constraints on your time like I've done, then there's gonna be times where you need to make trades. It's one of the biggest improvements you can make to the quality of your life, the quality of your work, and the amount of money you make per hour because you keep trading away low value stuff for low dollars and replacing it with high value stuff for high dollars. This one principle is an absolute game changer for elevating your quality of your life and your income. Shortcuts are incredibly expensive, and they often don't look like shortcuts. They often look like good ideas. You have to learn to avoid this trap. Daniel Kahneman wrote a book called Thinking Fast and Slow. He is a Nobel Prize winning behavioral economist. One of the biases he wrote about in his book is called the inside view bias. The inside view bias basically says that as human beings, we all fall victim to this. And the thing we fall victim to is we underestimate how long a project will take. And doing anything right is going to take you longer than you think. And so there is such a pull to want to find a shortcut because we often think something's gonna take 2 months and it's been 4 months and we're still not done and we feel behind. So we look for a shortcut. If you build things right and you do them with impeccability, and you really build something great every step of the way, you will get way further. Impeccability beats speed. The business that builds a better business, even if it took longer, will build the business that built fast. And so impeccability and building things right is always gonna beat building things fast. An example for us at our company is we didn't want to build out the marketing. We wanted to grow really fast. So I hired a marketing director, then I hired another marketing director, and then we started to grow that department, and we were paying $500,000 or $600,000 a year for the marketing department. We were missing our marketing targets, and we were way over budget on marketing. Within 6 months, we ended up letting go the entire marketing department and said, we just need to do this ourselves. And 18 months later, doing it ourselves, every company is hitting or exceeding marketing targets. Our primary companies are 20 to 30% ahead of their marketing targets, and we have cut the marketing expenses in half. This has been a huge triumph, but it took us 2 years of building everything the right way ourselves. And so it didn't look like a shortcut to hire the marketing department, but in hindsight, it was like, man, we had to build it. We were trying to just like hand off building the most important thing in our company at the time. And you can't just hand things like that off. And what we've tried to do in our company is just be patient. This is the next thing I'm working on. And I don't really care if it takes 3 months or 6 months. I'm not moving on to the next thing until this thing's done. And the more we've transitioned our strategic plan to sequencing one thing after another and not caring too much about the timeline, but caring much more about doing things with impeccability, the faster our company has grown and the more profitable we've become. If you want to build anything really great, it's just going to take time. There are no overnight successes. There are no get-rich-quick schemes. You have no idea what you're capable of, but you've got to let those efforts compound because business doesn't reward people substantially in the first 1, 2, or 3 years. When you get into it, it's about getting to year 3, getting to year 4, and you can have success along the way. The biggest mistake people make is they quit and start over and quit and start over and quit and start over and never get to the real compounding results that only come with time. If you like this video, go check out how I would go from 0 to $1 million in my first 12 months.